Hello, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everybody.
We broadcast from 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation on 101.7 FM every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 Pacific time.
I'm going to have to, Dr. Leslie, I'm going to have to get you a booster seat for YouTube.
Are you? Am I sitting too far down?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes. So listeners, you're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth. And I was also going to say, as well as broadcasting from on the radio station, CIVL, we also live stream from the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and from my YouTube channel. And you can also catch us on all the major podcasting platforms, as well as if you go to drlesliephillips.com, then you can catch all the past episodes. Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and every week we have a different topic under that umbrella. This week we're going to talk about auras. You too can see auras. That is our show title tonight, and that is what we're going to talk about. So
Yes,
we should begin a show about auras by talking about what is an aura. And
Dr. Leslie, what is an aura?
It's an electromagnetic energy field that surrounds a physical object or person. So pretty much everything in the physical world has what we see as the periphery or the edge of that object, but it also has an electromagnetic field of energy that emanates beyond those hard physical edges. And so you might not know this, people tend to think about an aura as being something around a living, animated human or animal or plant, but actually you can see auras around rocks and other inanimate objects as well. So it's an electromagnetic energy field that is emanating from something that appears physical. So you appear physical, you have a physical body. Your aura is an energy field that emanates beyond the edges of your physical body. And that electromagnetic energy field is kind of infused with all sorts of information about you. It's sometimes being referred to as the fingerprint of God. And actually, it's more like the fingerprint of you. It is like your personal mobile Akashic record, in that it contains all the information that you are going through right now, things that you have retained from your past, your emotions, your beliefs, your thoughts, and the spiritual growth that you're going through. There is an electromagnetic signature which contains all of that information. So, in a world where we were all in touch with our clairvoyance and our psychic abilities, nobody would tell lies to each other anymore. Cover up the truth, because it wouldn't make any sense to do so, because we'd be just looking right at you and everything about you all the time. So the human energy field actually emanates from the chakra system, and you have 7 major chakras but each one is a different window of perception into a different aspect of your reality, and each one of them emanates a unique energy field that surrounds you. And so by isolating and observing those energy layers, then we can tell specific things about a person on that particular aspect or level of their reality. Now, this electromagnetic energy field is constantly in motion. It's constantly changing. It's not static. So if you ever go to a fair and have somebody take a photograph of your aura, that is just a snapshot in time. Just like if somebody took a photograph of your physical body, it's a snapshot in time. You're not stuck like that forever, are you? So when you get a picture of your aura taken, it's just a snapshot in time. The next moment, your aura is different, just like the next moment you are different. So it's highly dynamic. It shifts and changes in response to what's going on for you right now. So, you know, if you're quite happy right now, you might have a particular way that part of your energy field looks, but if you get angry the next minute, then it's going to change and it's going to reflect that anger that's coming up in your system, for example. So
that's a really good analogy, Dr. Leslie. I've never heard, I don't think you've ever used that one before.
No, I don't. I think I just made it up just now.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Thank you.
No, that's really impressive. I like that one. That's a really good way. If you take your picture, you don't stay that exactly that way.
No, and it's funny because I have met people quite a number of times who've said to me, well, I don't want an aura reading because I don't need one because I know what my aura looks like. And it turns out they got a photograph taken 10 years ago and they think that that's what their aura looks like. But, you know, your aura is multi-layered, dynamic, constantly shifting and changing energy field. And it changes in response to what's going on, what you're encountering, what growth you're going through, and so on. So there are 7 major layers, and each one emanates from one of the 7 chakras. And so when we give an aura reading, or at least when I give an aura reading, as well as just looking at the overall auric field and what that looks like, we also are kind of like with a funny clairvoyant X-ray vision or CAT scanner type thing, isolating the individual layers and looking at them one at a time. So what color is the first layer that emanates from the first chakra? What color is the second layer that emanates from the second chakra? And so on, all the way through the 7 chakras. And as we look at each of those layers, we're also looking for what you've stored on that layer. So we store our life experiences, our memories, our beliefs, our behavior patterns, and so on in these sort of like structured units of electromagnetic energy that can appear as like photographs or little movie vignettes or symbols and so on that can be translated into meaning and reflected back at somebody to help them understand what it is that they're going through, what it is that they are learning about. And depending on which layer a particular thing shows up, then it is relating to a particular aspect of that person. So something that shows up on the 5th layer of the energy field might relate more to the idea of communication. Something that shows up on the 1st layer of the energy field might relate more to the idea of survival. And maybe on the 7th layer might relate more to their connection with the divine, with source energy. And so an aura reading is, it's beyond a snapshot of you in time. It's reflecting back at you the growth that you are going through in this lifetime on a spiritual level, on multiple levels and layers of your reality. And yes, it can relate to your physical health. It can relate to your mental health, your emotional health. It can relate to spiritual aspects as well. And when we look at the energy field, we want to look at the tonality of the color vibrations. So, for example, we want to see that the energy is moving, and maybe a faster moving energy is more healthy than a sluggish, slow moving energy. A bright, vibrant color is more healthy than a dark, dense, tainted, dirty looking vibration, for example. So we can look at how healthy somebody is. We can look at how stuck they are in their life, and so on, by looking at the auric field. And by reflecting back at them what we're seeing, then we can help them to make changes and shifts in their awareness and in their energy.
I've got a quick question from Shannon, if you would. So can you be a rainbow aura? I remember when I went through Kundalini, the angels kept saying I was a rainbow, and the rainbow flashes would show up when I would close my eyes.
So your aura is multicolored, and every layer of your aura is multicolored, and that's true for everyone. So in an aura reading, we try to simplify it and say, well, what's the main vibration on each of the layers of the energy field? But for sure, your aura could look like a rainbow, or even individual layers could look like a rainbow, or just multicolored sparkles and blobs and shifting patterns of energy. So yeah, so hopefully that answers the question. Now, how are we able to observe an auric field? The answer is by using your clairvoyance. So sometimes people try to see the aura with their physical eyes, and your physical eyes are specifically designed to help you tune into electromagnetic frequencies that are within the visible spectrum, that are typical of the energy frequencies that we see in the physical world. And so if you're trying to see the auric field with your physical eyes, you're using the wrong instrument. So how we look at the aura is through the third eye, or the sixth chakra, using our clairvoyance. And it's my belief that this is something that every single one of us has and can do. And with a little bit of a training and explanation on how to do it. And so, of course, this is what I do in my Unlock Your Intuition course and my clairvoyance course, is we go into that training in great depth. But I sometimes encounter people who feel like they can't see anything. And oftentimes that's because they are still trying to look through their physical eyes. They're so locked into vision being associated with their physical eyes that they're straining and they're getting into effort, and they're trying to view it through the wrong instrument, or they're getting into effort and struggle. And so some of the things that we have to do in order to be able to see our aura is clear misconceptions, even expectations of what it's like, because it's not always going to be like what you expect it to be like or what you think it's going to be like.
Can everybody see auras?
I believe everyone can learn to observe and read an aura. Most people that I have known in the classes I teach, or through the years that I've been doing this, can learn to see clairvoyantly. I have encountered some people who can read an aura, but they do not believe that they're seeing it, they're knowing it instead. So I've encountered the odd person here and there who doesn't believe that they can see it. But in my information is that everybody has clairvoyance. Why? Because we are all spirit, and that is how we see as spirit. And that is an ability that we have, before you were born and after you leave this lifetime. That is something that's a part of you. It's part of how you communicate as spirit, to be able to communicate through vibration and light. So through sound and light. So your clairvoyance is an ability that helps you to tune into different vibrational frequencies of light. And it helps you tune into different vibrational frequencies of light that are outside the visible range that your physical eyes are seeing. And I was just going to mention that in my Intuition and Chakras book, there's a lot of information about the aura. Chapter 3 is all about the aura. And I'm sure we talk about it in other sections of the book as well, at length, to explain what it is. And, the other thing I haven't mentioned, or maybe I've sort of mentioned, is that it defines your personal space. And so everything on the inside of the boundary of your energy field is you. It's like your personal domain, your personal creative universe. It's yours, through which to create your life through. And then everything the other side is somebody or something else. And so it's like we've all got our personal little universes surrounding us through our energy field. And like I said, it's ours to create through. And part of the meaning of me saying that is that that's the energy signature that you're broadcasting. And remember, you create your reality through your energy. So whatever energy you're carrying in your auric field is, by the law of attraction, going to be reflected back at you in your reality. And so one of the things that it's very important for us to do as spiritual practitioners is to cleanse and clear our own auric field. That said, we are going to take a short break, and then we will be back after these messages. Welcome back. Listeners, you are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Yes, that's me. Still me.
Tonight we're talking about the human energy field, or auras in general. And we were saying just before the break that it's your personal universe. It's your personal creative universe. And it is meant to be, you're meant to be the master of that universe. You're meant to be in charge of it. And one of the ways is by, hopefully you wouldn't keep your house filthy and dirty and cluttered up. I know some people do get a bit behind with that. But the same thing goes with your auric field. It's kind of like the house that you're living in. It's kind of like your temple, your energy. And so we want to learn how to keep that temple clean and clear, because that's how we announce ourselves to the world, by that energy. And it's also how we create our reality through that. So let's think about some common ways that people might experience their aura. Even if you're not at the stage where you've developed your clairvoyance and are seeing it yet, I bet you've all had the experience of stepping into a crowded elevator and you feel like you suck your energy in. Or going for a walk in nature and you just feel like your energy is spreading out. Well, actually what's happening then is you are sucking your aura in the crowded elevator, and you're allowing it to relax and spread out when you are having a walk in nature. So I'm sure you can all think about, when do I naturally have my energy field more out or more in? Often when we're afraid, we'll suck it in. In a crowded room, we might suck it in. And actually, if you don't, and you're in a crowded room, you are going to be picking up all the energy of everyone else in the room. And that is the classic empath who feels overly sensitive to energy and really doesn't like to be in a crowd and finds it overwhelming. And really all they need to learn is about their aura and how to bring it in, and how to manage the energy of their aura and not take on foreign energy into their energy field. So listeners, I would love to answer your questions about auras or about anything else. I'm going to flip through my book and see if there's anything else in there that perhaps I didn't mention yet about the aura.
We have a bunch of questions ready for you, Dr.
Well,
Leslie.
that would be good. I'd love that. Let's do that.
Okay. This is from Katie. Katie says, how do we know which layer we're seeing?
That's a good question, Katie, and that really comes with training. And so you can get to the point where you intend what layer you're looking at, and that's the layer that you're looking at. So it's difficult for me to answer that question without training you to use your clairvoyance and do an aura reading, really. But you get to know. You get to know what layer it is, and actually you can also, just like you decide, I'm going to look over there at that tree, or I'm going to look over there at that picture on the wall. You can say, well, now I'm going to look at the fifth layer of this person's energy field by directing your psychic vision to focus on that particular layer.
Is that it?
Yeah, I was hoping
Okay.
your other questions. I was waiting patiently.
Yes, I thought, well, there was no period at the end of your statement. Here's another one from Katie. By the way, everybody, I take these questions as they come in. So Katie says, if I can see the color of my aura as blue, will someone else who can see auras see my color as blue too? If not, is one of us wrong? And then she says, and here's a question I've never heard come up before, assuming that person isn't colorblind.
Okay, well, color blindness is something that applies to the physical eyes. It's a physical, I don't want to call it an aberration, but it's a genetic trait to do with the physical eyes. So that's not relevant at all when it comes to talking about your clairvoyance, because I've never met a colorblind clairvoyant. I've met a blind person who could see clairvoyantly, though. Someone who couldn't see physically at all, who could read auras and see clairvoyantly. So that's a good question about if you see that, let's say the fifth layer of your aura is blue, is everybody else going to see it as blue? And the answer to that is not necessarily. And the answer to who's right and who's wrong is nobody's wrong. So if you think about, let's say there were 5 people looking at your energy field. Each one of those people is going to be viewing it from their perspective. So it's a bit like maybe one person is on the top of a 10-story building. Maybe somebody else is halfway down. Maybe somebody else is in the basement. So they're all looking at you from a slightly different perspective, which might cause them to tune in slightly differently to your energy. And of course, we don't just stop at reading the color, we then translate that into meaning. So all of those people, they might get different colors, but the way that they translate it would be still relevant to you. Now, as a trained clairvoyant, one of the ways that we train to do it professionally is to all get on the same floor. So you can have what's called a reading line of, let's say, 3 clairvoyants sitting next to each other, reading somebody's aura. And the person in the center would be the center chair reader. They would set the energy level for the reading, and the side chair readers would match that energy level, and then everybody would be looking from the same floor of the building. And even then there might be slight differences, because you've still got 3 different people all looking at you through their own energy field and through their own perspective. But one of the ways that we can make the readings more consistent is to all be on the same energy frequency as we read you. And we can also, by the way we set the energy level, make the information that comes forward be most helpful to you. Because if we set the energy level too high, it would go over your head and make no sense. And if we set the energy level too low, you'd be like, yeah, I know that. Tell me something I don't know. So there are ways in becoming a trained clairvoyant that you can learn to, it's like, think of it like you can learn to sort of, let's say you were looking through a pair of binoculars or a telescope, you know, focus in, and also what angle are you looking at it from? What perspective are you viewing at it from? Hope that makes sense. Hope that gives you a bit more information.
Yep, gives me more information. Okay, so we have a question from Amy. Excuse me. And Amy says, hi, enjoying the show. When you do a chakra reading, are you looking at corresponding aura layer or at the chakra itself? Just trying to understand the relationship between the chakras and the aura.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that depends really. So I might be just looking at the chakra, and I might be looking at both. The chakra is an energy center, an energy vortex that exists in your energy field that you channel information through and also process life experiences through. Each of your chakras emanates energy, and the energy that emanates from each of those chakras makes up a layer in the auric field. So the chakra is an energy center that has its own energy field. And that energy field contributes to the auric field. So we might look at the energy field that the chakra is emanating. And by looking at the main vibration of that, that would give us an idea of the main growth cycle on that level of that person's reality. Through the color vibration and through other symbols and images that might be present. And then we can look at the chakra itself to see how is the chakra spinning. You know, how is the energy flowing through the chakra? Are there actually stuck pictures and things blocking the chakra itself? So sometimes I do for my students what's called an energy check, and I'm just really focusing on the functioning of the chakra. So I can give them a few pointers. You need to clear this chakra out a little bit because it's looking a bit stuck and the energy's not moving so well. In an aura reading, I might be starting with the layer of the aura, but then I might decide I need to look at the chakra as well because of something I'm picking up. Or I might just do both. Hopefully that helps answer the question, Amy. Thanks for that.
Now we have 4 questions that are along the same line, so I'll read them all to you, and then you can answer them. So Shannon says, how do we cleanse and clear our aura naturally? Selenite, right? Faith says, how do you cleanse your auric field? SG says, what are different ways to cleanse your auras? And Christina says, since this is new to my awareness, what are initial steps in clearing our aura?
Okay. This book called Intuition and Chakras has a whole section on energy techniques. Those energy techniques are part and parcel of a daily energy hygiene regimen that helps you cleanse and clear your aura. So the way I teach people to do it is through energy techniques. And you can learn these energy techniques while in meditation, but you don't necessarily have to be in meditation to use them. The very first technique is grounding. Grounding is an energy technique. It's a bit like attaching a drain to your energy field. You create an energy flow from your first chakra to the center of the earth, and then you basically send everything that doesn't belong in your aura down that grounding cord. Just like when you pull the plug in the bathtub, let it flow away and out of your system. So that's one example of something that's going to help you cleanse and clear your aura. You know, somebody said solanite, which is, I guess, a kind of a crystal. You know, and sometimes people use things like sage and so on. I think that's great, but I don't think there's anything that beats actually being able to work with your own energy directly through your own awareness, so that you can validate. If you develop your clairvoyance and you learn these energy techniques, you can be completely aware of what it is in your energy field that you're needing and wanting to change. And you can actually observe how using the energy techniques are helping you to release those things. Just like you watch the water drain away in the bathtub, for example. So I would advocate learning energy techniques, and the energy techniques that I teach in my psychic development classes are the same techniques that you can use to cleanse your aura. Because in order to develop your psychic abilities, your energy field needs to be clear and high. Because if it isn't, then you're not going to be seeing so clearly, are you? So I hope that helps answer that question, or those 4 questions.
I like the idea of using your book to beat your aura into submission.
I think it would just flow through the aura. I don't think that would work that way, Corey.
Oh, no, you don't think so?
No.
Olive says she just ordered her book and it's on its way.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I call her Olive because I can't pronounce her first name.
Olive is who she goes by.
Yeah, I think it's easier for people. No, I think we have time for one more question before the break. So Brian says, is it true you can see a person's intentions through their aura, i.e. people with darker aura may not have the best intentions?
So I'm not one to advocate sort of like, you know, sometimes you can buy an aura book and it says, if you see this color, it means this. And if you see that color, it means that. I'm more of a fan of looking at each vibration in its own right and directly translating it. So somebody with dark energy in their aura could be depressed, could be very sad, could be in a lot of grief, could be in a lot of emotional pain, could be feeling hate, you know, and so it's not necessarily a dark aura means evil and ill intentions. Could be all sorts of different things. You know, somebody who's angry, maybe there would be a dark angry glue, you know, red brewing. So I think that there's not a simple look-up book for this, but you definitely could read somebody with ill intentions, you could definitely read that kind of vibe from their aura. Somebody who wasn't to be trusted, for example, you could definitely pick that up. I believe.
Exciting.
Yes, I believe we must go to another break now, Corey.
I think you're taking my job away from me here, Dr. Leslie. It's time for another break.
See you after these messages. Welcome back, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Tonight's episode is about the aura, and you too can learn to read the aura.
You can.
Yeah, we're in that time of the show where we love to answer listeners' questions.
Like we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But this you can answer all. You don't have to ask questions about aura specifically, so
You can if you want.
you can if you'd like to. Another question from Katie. Katie says, I've been able to see my aura on my hand, but anywhere else when I look in a mirror, okay, let me reread that. I've been able to see my aura in my hand, but anywhere else when I look in a mirror, it seems to be the same color or close to it. Whenever I'm able to see it, is seeing my aura only on my hand enough to read my aura accurately? Also, which chakra am I reading on my hands?
Okay, so, well, you have chakras in your hands actually, but sounds like you're trying to read your aura using your physical eyes first off. And, there are things that you can do, like, look at your hands in the dark and put your fingers together and gently move them apart, and you might see an energy trail between them. Or like you're doing, stare in the mirror and you might see a glow around your body, or at the mountain and see a glow on the horizon. And you tend to just see one color when you do that. And that's really just, I wouldn't say it's not your aura, but remember we said that your physical eyes only have a certain range of perception. And so we're not going to get the same detail if we're trying to do it through the physical body and the physical eyes. So if you learn to read from your sixth chakra and from your third eye, you will get better results. And the second thing is, you certainly don't want to pass it through your intellect. And it sounds like that's what you're doing as well. So it sounds like you're looking through your physical eyes and then passing it through your intellect. And what we actually want to do is look through the sixth chakra and receive the information through our intuition and through our clairvoyance, which is completely different than what we're used to doing. And so I think you're just catching the sort of vague outline of your energy field because you're using your physical eyes. And so I would say, what layer are you looking at? I think you're just kind of looking at the general outline of the whole thing, and you're not really tuning into a specific layer because you're doing it with your physical eyes. That's what it sounds like to me anyway. Next question.
Would it be easier to look at the aura of like trees or flowers and plants and things like that?
Well, you can do that, but again, it's using the physical eyes. And what I'm trying to bring across is that it's about using your clairvoyance, your third eye, which is not your physical eyes.
I get that, but is the aura of a plant or a flower or something less complicated than trying to see one of a person? Would it be easier to see?
No, I don't. Not necessarily. I don't. I mean, if I'm teaching people to use their clairvoyance, we start off simply, but we don't start with the aura. We start with other things, and then we build ourselves up to being able to do an aura reading.
Remember in the book just went out of my head. Just that, what was the name of that book where they go down to South America and they show him
Celestine prophecy.
Celestine prophecy, and the plants are not only they see their auras, but they see their auras mingling. It's quite interesting. Hey, this is from Joanna. Joanna says, I find dried lavender and dried rose petals and Epsom salts clear my aura.
Yeah. Yeah, Epsom salts are really great actually. That can actually help cleanse and clear your electromagnetic field.
Good. So this is from Katie. Katie says, is an aura always a color? Usually I can see energy coming from things in nature, in my body and in the air. But instead of color, I see textures, movement, patterns, etc., radiating from the objects. What does this mean? How can I read this energy I see? I'm trying to figure out the purpose of this ability I discovered only a couple of months ago.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're just tuning into energy. And so again, yes, out in nature, you can see different kinds of energy emanations, energy fields, and so on. How can you read the meaning of it? I'd suggest get some training or get some guidance and get some help. I mean, it's difficult to answer that question, but I mean, I suspect if you're out in nature, I mean, I also see all sorts of energies out in nature, and you're just looking at the energy. And I don't even know that there's a need to read it or interpret it. It's just the energy of, nature.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay. This is from Misty. Misty says, I see auras all the time. I can see people's auras on their skin. Is that weird? And I saw this one lady was green when she was sick, and I see white outline things all the time, like shadow. What's that about?
Well, again, it sounds like you're being aware of energy. And it sounds like you are, in a way, probably got what you're superimposing what you're seeing physically with your clairvoyance. So I would just, what's that about? It just sounds like your clairvoyance, that you're starting to see energy. So that's great.
That's marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
Always nice. Do you find that people freak out when they first see it, or
No.
it's just natural? It's not a big deal like seeing your
Well,
uncle or anything like that.
I'm training people over time to be able to do this. And so they're usually people who've chosen that they want to do it. And so they're delighted and excited rather than freaked out, because it's something that they're really wanting to do.
So we have a question from Shannon. I'm just checking that it might be a second part to this question here. Okay. She says, Dr. Leslie, I don't mean to change from the aura topic, but I did want to ask you about my bad dream. I've had a couple possession dreams actually over the years, but this particular one was possession of a loved one, where I'm told to say yes to accept the healing from Jesus Christ when I asked to take the demon out of him. I am a Reiki master. I woke up with the intense shivers all over my body, prayed for him immediately, and supposed it was linked to not following my intuition. But I love your thoughts.
I'll take a look at this for you, Shannon. Well, it just looks to me, in your dream experience, you were, we might say, learning about energy and learning about actually your own power as a healer and your own ability to help other people clear energy. And, you know, sometimes when we've been asleep and we've been doing things on the astral plane, we incidentally just bring in some of that energy into the physical body. And so it looks like that's what to do with the shivers and so on. And so one of the things that you can do is clear out your third chakra, because that's where the astral or out of body memory or dream memory is. It looks like you've been learning about your own power and your own third chakra, actually. And, you know, sometimes what we experience in a dream does relate to what's going on in physical reality, and sometimes it doesn't at all. You know, sometimes it's just something that happened in the out of body state on the astral plane. And so to me, it looks like in this incident, you'd been almost practicing your own healing abilities, challenging yourself with challenging situations, and then you brought some of that into the body. Looks like to remember it on purpose, but also, you know, you then wanted to make it make sense on some level, in a physical reality level. And so, yeah, in one sense, it was just a dream, but what is just a dream? A dream is equally valid reality experience as this reality is. I hope that gives you some information, Shannon.
I'm sure it does. So this is from Olive. Olive says, I pick up emotions along with aura when I read them. I'm not sure if that comes from the person I read or myself. The feelings can be a bit overwhelming sometimes when it's sad or exhausted.
Okay, so when we read, we want to read from the center of the head, Olive. Olive has done my Unlock Your Intuition course. And because if you are in the center of your head, then that allows you to be neutral and above the emotions. And the other thing, I can segue this into talking about the aura and aura awareness, because if you're reading somebody, then you want to keep your energy separate from their energy. Okay, you don't want your energy to merge with their energy. So sometimes when people are inexperienced at reading, they will actually go into the person's space that they're reading. And that's an invasion of that person's space. And if you do that, it means that you will be reading, you will be feeling what they're feeling. Or sometimes the person that you're reading, if you're saying, hey, I'll give you a reading, they're so curious about what you're going to say that their energy will come into your space. And same thing, if your energies are overlapping, you will experience that person's emotions and thoughts and other things. So that's why it's such a crucial part of psychic development, to learn how to own your energy, to learn what am I doing with my energy, what are other people doing with their energy. Because otherwise it can get quite confusing. Is this me? Is this the other person? I don't know. So let's take a look at you, Olive, and which one of these you're doing. And it could be all of the above, because depending on the person, that you're reading as well. And the other thing is, it looks like you're kind of resonating with them on an emotional level. So there are things going on with them emotionally that you are resonating with, that is them bringing and stirring things up within your system. So that's the other practice when we're reading other people, is it will stir things up. And we need to be aware what's being stirred up. And that's why we need to clear ourselves out before and after we give a reading, actually, to somebody. So hence, learning how to keep your own auric field clear. Hope that helps give you some information on it.
Thank you, Dr. Leslie. Joanna says, Joanna Mellini says, Shannon's question reminded me, I wanted to say thank you for looking into my weird experience with fatigue and invasion dreams a few weeks ago. I've been working to protect my energy, and I'm trying to work on the cord cutting so I don't leave myself open to attacks again. Thanks for all that you do.
You're welcome.
And this is from Selena. What about the aura of somebody on their deathbed or in a hospice situation? Would the aura be dimmer or disappear the closer they are to death?
That's a really good question. What I've observed is that it gets brighter and higher, because to have that transition from life to death takes a tremendous amount of energy and power, actually, to either be born or to pass over. You're either coming from the non-physical into the physical, or the physical into the non-physical. So actually what happens is a powering up. And so the energy gets brighter in the leading up to the death and dying, and reaches a peak at the point of separation from the body, and then that person's energy is then, and life force is withdrawn from the body, and then the body is kind of inert and no longer containing the life force energy of that person. So then that goes down.
Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
You're welcome.
Katie says, thank you for answering all my questions, Dr. Leslie. I'm waiting for your next course to open up. In the meantime, do you have any recommendations or resources to train myself to see auras with my third eye? And that's
next course is coming up within a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. So watch this space. My latest group of students are on their last module next week. So write to me, Katie. I'll put you on the list. Make sure I've got you on my list, because that's coming up. In the meantime, you could get the book and practice the techniques in the book.
Sounds great. And thank you, folks. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you so much.